Hey you guys, I wish I had known this yesterday, but I'm actually gone today because our UCA varsity girls volleyball team, we are off to the playoffs and I help them out as well as my daughters are on the team. So instead of doing the live today, I've created this video for you so that you will have a clear understanding of what you're doing, what your expectations are, and that thing. So I'm going to go through kind of what you're supposed to do today. And if you have any questions, you can still send me an email or send me a message. I'll have my phone with me and I'll answer any questions that you have as soon as I can. I'll try to check it pretty regularly. All of my notifications come to my phone, so I see them pretty often. So today let me go over here. This is the assignment that you're going to do, but I want to show you what it looks like in Google Classroom and make sure we're all on the same page. So, as always, be patient with my lovely internet. And we wait, sorry. So I'm wondering how you guys did on the on the comment yesterday. I had a couple people message me about some of the questions that they had thought one thing and it wasn't exactly what they had thought. So I hope if you haven't, that you will go back and look at what you got. And once you submit it, it should show you what the right answers are. If it does not and you're confused about what your score was, then feel free to send me a message and I will let you know. But can uh, we can talk about anything that you were confused about if you want to tomorrow. If you'll bring it up when we're on our live session, I'd be happy to talk it through and explain why the answer was what it was and help clear up your confusion. So today, which will be Tuesday, um, mm, that's not what we're doing. That's on Wednesday. Today, we're doing this um, assignment right here. It's called Identities. Okay, so let me click that open. I'm going to open the assignment. You can see it, even though it's not showing up on your screen until Tuesday morning. And today is technically Monday, but for you, it's going to be Tuesday. All right, so we're going to read this story together. And you will find the story on the actual Google document. So when you click on the Google document, you'll see it. So we're going to read it together. And I will read it to you one time. And then if you want to, here, I'll get over here first. All right, we're going to read it together. And what I want you to do the first time I read it to you is I want you to, on a sheet of paper, or you can do it in your assignment, you're going to list all of the things that you learn about the main character. So, if you are told it's a man, and if you are told anything about the way he looks, the way he dresses, what he's driving, where he lives, it talks about his assumptions, his actions, that kind of thing. So, the way he is characterized, or the way you're going to learn about him, can be through both indirect and direct characterization. And I know that we haven't reviewed that yet, but direct characterization is if you are told directly by the author a detail about the character. For instance, I could tell you, I have blonde hair, I'm wearing glasses, I am a white female, I am 40 years old. So I've told you those things, therefore you don't have to figure them out for yourself about me. That is direct characterization. If I do not tell you directly, but if I were writing about a character and I put in some dialogue between that character and another character, so you see the discussion that they had, if you get to see the character's thoughts and the way that they think about things, if you get to see their actions, okay, the decisions that they make, that kind of stuff, that's indirect characterization. You can still learn stuff about a person, but the author hasn't told you directly what those things are. You have to infer them for yourself. So the first time I read this story, or while I'm reading this story, I want you to write down as much as you can about the character. You don't really have to follow along with like the text as I'm reading. I want you to worry about writing. So you can jot down the entire time I'm writing. This is actually a good practice in you listening. So you don't have to watch the screen as I'm reading. You just worry about writing stuff on your paper. You can type it directly into this document here, or if you want to write it on a sheet of paper, you can then transfer it over later. After we finish, you can get onto this Google Doc and fill it out. Whatever works best for you. As I'm pulling up the story, I'll give you a minute if you need to get a sheet of paper, or you can pause me at any point. Okay, so I will open this. So in your Google document, you should be able to open the link. And of course, my internet's going to be weird because I'm trying to video and do things. And my computer's saying, oh my gosh, I can't do all this at once. All right, so remember, you're writing everything that you can possibly learn about this character. And then you're going to you can either read it back to yourself or you can go and listen to me read it to you again. And then there's something you're going to do the second time that you go through the story. So have your pencil and paper ready, or get ready to write into your document whatever you need to do. This story has to do with a character and his assumptions and other people's assumptions, and it kind of goes along with this idea of who we are versus who the world thinks that we are. All right, so here we go. Normally, he goes clean-shaven into the world, but the promise of a Saturday liquid with sunshine draws him first from his study to the backyard, from there to his front lawn. The smell of burning leaves stirs the memories of childhood car rides, narrow lanes adrift with yellow leaves, girls on plodding horses, unattended stands piled high with pumpkins, onions or beets, so that each one was, in its own way, a still life. Always there were salmon tins glinting with silver, set above hand-painted signs instructing purchasers to deposit 25 or 50 cents. This act of faith containing all the stories he had read in childhood about the North, cabins left unlocked, filled with supplies for hapless wayfarers, wakes in him a desire to temporarily abandon the twice-cut yards and hundred-year-old oaks. He does not hurry, for he has no destination. He meanders, instead, through the neat suburban labyrinth of cul-de-sacs, bays, and circles, losing and finding himself endlessly. Becoming lost is made all the easier because the houses repeat themselves with superficial variations. There grows within him, however, a vague unease with symmetry, with nothing left to chance, no ragged edges, no unkept vacant lots, no houses rendered unique by necessity or in indifference. The houses all face the sun. They have no artificial divisions. There is room enough for everyone. Now, as he passes gray stone gates, the yards are all prescribed by stiff picket fences, and quickly a certain untidiness creeps in. A fragment of glass, a chocolate bar wrapper, a plastic horse, cracked sidewalks with ridges of stiff grass. Although he has on blue jeans, matching pants, and jacket made in Paris, he is driving a gray Mercedes-Benz. Gangs of young men follow the car with their unblinking eyes. The young men stand and lean in tired, watchful knots close to phone booths and seedy-looking grocery stores. Their slick hair glistens. Their leather jackets gleam with studs. Eagles, tigers, wolves, and serpents ride their backs. He passes a 10-foot wire fence enclosing a playground bare of equipment and pounded flat. The gate is double locked, the fence cut and rolled into the cone. 3 boys throw stones at pigeons. Paper clogs the fence like drifted snow. The school is covered with heavy screens. Its yellow brick is pock-marked, chipped. The houses are squat, as though they have been taller and have slowly sunk into the ground. Each has a band of dirt around the bottom. The blue glow of television sets lights the windows. On the front steps of a red-roofed house, a man sits. He wears black pants, a tartan vest, a brown snap-rimmed hat. Beside him is a suitcase. Fences here are little more than fragments. Cars jam the narrow streets, and he worries he might strike the unkempt children who dart back and forth like startled fish. Streetlights come on. He takes them as a signal to return the way he came, but it has been a reckless, haphazard path. Retracing it would be impossible. He's overtaken by sudden guilt. He's left no message for his wife. There have been no trees or drifting leaves, no stands covered in produce, no salmon tins, but time has ran away with him. His wife, he realizes, will have returned from bridge. His children gathered for supper. He also knows that, at first, they would have explained his absence on a neighbor's hospitality and gin. However, by the time he can return, annoyance will have blossomed into alarm. His safe return will, he knows from childhood and years of being locked in domestic grief, degenerate into recriminations and apology. Faced with this, he decides to call the next time he sees a store or phone booth. So intent is he upon the future that he dangerously ignores the present, does not notice the police car, concealed in the shadows of a side street, nose out and follow him. Ahead, there is a small store with windows covered in hand-painted signs and vertical metal bars. On the edge of the light, three young men and a girl slouches. One of them has a beard and, in spite the advancing darkness, wears sunglasses. He has on a fringed leather vest. His companions wear leather jackets. Their peaked caps make their heads seem flat, their foreheads non-existent. The girl is better looking than she should be for such companions. She is long-legged and wears a white turtleneck sweater that accentuates her breasts. In spite of his car, he hopes his day-old beard, which he strokes upward with the heel of his hand, will, when combined with his clothes, provide immunity. He slips his wallet into his shirt pocket, does up the metal buttons on his jacket, and slips a $10 bill into his back pocket. Recalling a television show, he decides that if he is accosted, he will say that the 10 is all he's got, that he stole the car, and ask them if they know a buyer. He eases out of the car, edges nervously along the fender and past the grill. The store window illuminates the sidewalk like a stage. Beyond the light, everything is obscured by darkness. He is so intent upon the three men and the girl, he does not notice the police car drift against the curb, nor the officer who is advancing with a pistol in his hand. When the officer, who is inexperienced, who is nervous because of the neighborhood, who is suspicious because of the car and because he had not been trained to see an unshaved man in blue jeans. Sorry, because of the car and because he had been trained to see an unshaven man in blue jeans as a potential thief and not a probable owner, orders him to halt. He is surprised. When he turns part way around and recognizes the uniform, he does not feel fear, but relief, instinctively relaxing, certain of his safety. In the last voluntary movement of his life, he reaches his hand not in the air as he is ordered to do, but toward his wallet for his identity. All right. So while I was reading that, you were supposed to list everything that you could about the man as I read about him. So what does he look like? Where does he come from? What was his childhood like? What is his house like? What is his family life like? What do you think his habits are? Um, why do you think he was going on this journey in his car? Um, what is what do his actions show about his socioeconomic status in life? Like, is he rich? Is he poor? Is he used to people, accepting him as he is? not being afraid of him, those kinds of things. I want you to list all of that. So um, think back of indirect characterization based on his actions, his thoughts, and then direct characterization. So it talked about like what he has on, those kinds of things. What does house look like? So write down all that you can remember. You're welcome to flip back to the story that's listed here and scan back through and get as much as you can on his identity. Right. The second thing that I want you to do after you do that, you can pause this as many times as you need to. Okay. The next thing that I want you to do, ah, okay, I want you to read it again, and I want you to write down what an outside observer might see about the main character. So you could be the man that's sitting on the front steps as the car comes by with the main character in it. Okay, what does that man see when he sees this car in a Mercedes Benz driving down his street? Think about where he is when he does this. This man that's sitting on his front steps, what kind of neighborhood does he live in versus the main character and the where the main character came from, okay? And so how would that impact the way that the man on the steps sees this guy in the car? All right. If you're thinking about, I also want you to think about the three men and the girl that are sitting um, on the curb at the gas station or the grocery store or wherever he stops at this corner store. Think about the way that they are described, what they are dressed like, again, what neighborhood they're in, um, and what assumptions would those people have about this guy pulling in his Mercedes Benz as he gets out? What do you feel like their assumptions would be about this guy? And then finally, with the officer. So the officer's sitting on a side street in this particular neighborhood. Go back and look at what this particular neighborhood is like in the story. All right. And then this officer sees the main character in this really expensive car come by. All right. He pulls out behind him. Why does he pull out behind him? What are his assumptions about this man and how he stands out in this community? When the main character gets out of his car at the corner store, the officer pulls into the store parking lot, gets out of his car with his weapon drawn, and orders the main character to stop. What is going through the police officer's mind, based on the assumptions he has of this person, this main character. When he orders him to stop, and the man, instead of putting his hands in the air, reaches for his wallet, what are the assumptions that the police officer has based on his training, based on this community, and based on this man who does not fit into any of it? So that's what you do for the second question here. I want you to go back and look at the story, find details from the story, and include them here. Okay? The third thing that I want you to do is answer this question. What do you notice in the differences what the main character determined as what should have happened at the end, the way he expected things to go when he's confronted with this officer, and then what actually happens? And what are the differences that happen? Like, what's the disconnect between this main character and his perceived reality versus this officer and what he is experiencing, and how are they different? And what do you think this has to do with the title? Why does the author title it Identities? That's what you answer there. And then number 4, this is your own personal opinion. I just want you to support it with facts from the text, okay? So who do you believe was wrong? The man for assuming he was safe enough to show his wallet to the police officer. When the police officer orders him to stop, it says he does not show fear. He is relieved. So do you feel like he was wrong in assuming that he would be safe? Or do you think the police officer was wrong, the one who followed his training and did what he thought was right based on the situation, the community that he's working in? Who do you believe to be in the right and in the wrong? And use evidence from the text to support your opinion. You can say that the man was wrong, but you have to explain why and give proof. Or you can say that the officer was wrong and you can explain why and give proof. If you just absolutely feel in your heart that they were both right, then you still have to explain why. No matter what your answer is, you have to explain why and provide evidence from the text to support your opinion. So those are the things that you need to do based on the story. Make sure you go back and read the story to answer number 2. Make sure that for all of your answers, you provide evidence from the text, details from the text, and that you thoroughly explain what you think and feel and why. So let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'm really sorry that I wasn't available for lives today. I will be back on live tomorrow at your regularly scheduled time. I sound like a TV show. So if you are in my second block class or third block class, we will meet like we always do on Wednesday morning and we'll do something together. We're actually doing this creating thematic messages. We'll do that together on Wednesday. You need to make sure that you have this Google Doc finished tonight. And let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.